Today we are talking with life purpose coach Jenni Reher about self-sabotaging. I love having this woman on my show, and so will you. So let's go.
You can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality.
You are here to contribute through your essence, fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on.
Take what works, ditch the rest, and always stay set to love.
Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go.
Good morning. Good morning, Jenni. Welcome. Love having you.
Thank you.
Welcome. It is so fun having you on our show. I am up here visiting my sister in Oregon, so I'm so excited to have you just in case things freeze up. We know that you always have good advice. So, and my best friend down there.
Hi. I miss you.
I miss you so much. I'm glad that you're here.
Time.
I know. Let's schedule that soon. Jenni, tell the audience a little bit about you before we dive into talking about self-sabotaging, something that I think a lot of us are sadly all too familiar with.
Yes, unfortunately, I have a lot of experience with that. Thank you so much for having me on again. I'm so excited to be here, you guys. And I'm Jenni Reher. I am a life purpose coach, and I can help my clients find their purpose as well as live their purpose. Because a lot of times, after you find your purpose, you're all excited, but the self-doubt and the self-sabotage and all of these feelings start creeping in, and you don't know if you can do it. And so that's where I come in, and I can help you with that.
I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about, I know a little bit about this, but for those people who don't know why you're such an expert in self-sabotaging, can you give us a little background on what your experience is with that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Before I became a life purpose coach, I owned a vegan and gluten-free vegan donut business that I started myself in my home kitchen. And I did everything wrong. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no experience professionally baking. I had no plan. I was just kind of making it up as I went along, and I definitely made a lot of mistakes along the way.
But you did it. You did it well enough that you sold the company after, so that's pretty good if you ask me.
Well, thank you. Yeah, of course, the first year, and as the years went on, throughout the 4 years I was in business, I was able to figure it out. But definitely sabotage myself along the way and learn from those mistakes. Yeah.
So what's an example of a self-sabotage that happened to you along the way? Like, what's something that someone out there might be like, oh, I can relate to that. I do that.
Yeah. So I have two. The first one is that you believe that success doesn't come easy. You were probably, in a lot of cases, we were brought up with the idea that success is hard. Like maybe your dad or your mom worked really hard, or both of them worked really hard, and it was always a struggle. Or in my case, my dad was an entrepreneur. He was an orthodontist, and he worked every single day. I don't think he ever took a vacation. And so you see that growing up, and you're like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be a struggle. It's supposed to be hard. So I had a lot of examples of this where things kind of came easy. When I was doing my donut business, I had an opportunity to, just get out there. I'm an introvert, but I knew that I had to get my donuts out there in some way. And so I decided networking would be one way to do that, even though I hate it. But I went to a networking event, and I brought my donuts, which was a lot easier because the donuts just kind of spoke for themselves. I just kind of set them on a table and walked away. And I noticed that I was the only woman in the room, which was super intimidating. It was a group of men who were all startup tech. And I'm like, what am I even doing here? This is just like crazy.
They need donuts too.
Yeah. Donuts bring people together.
Yeah.
And so I ended up kind of, staring around the room and going, oh my gosh, I'm the only one and this is so awful. And then I saw another woman and we kind of locked eyes and she came up and she's like, oh my gosh, what do you have here? And so we were talking, she tried my donuts, she loved them. And she said, oh my gosh, have you ever thought about being in a coffee shop? And I'm like, no, I just kind of sell them, to the end customer right now, like door to door or whatever. And she was like, well, I happen to know the owner of this really big coffee shop that's down the street. And they are super nice. They love bringing in new products. And I just know they would love to bring in your product. And I was like, are you serious? Like, no, that's okay. I think I got it. That's really nice of you to offer. But, I think I'll be fine. I mean, talk about
yeah, like, okay, yes, make that introduction. Let's do it.
Instead of being like, I am there, I'm going to be there tomorrow. I put it off. I never did it. I never even had her introduce me to him ever because I didn't feel like it should be easy. I didn't feel like I deserved success and I didn't feel it would be easy. Can you believe that? So instead, I made it really hard for myself and I ended up contacting the company myself, but I had to jump through all these different hoops. I never met the owner until like 3 years in. And it could have been so much easier for me, but.
Right. That's an opportunity right there. Like when we talk about living in flow, following life's opportunities wholeheartedly. Here was the universe handing you the most perfect opportunity. Here's a coffee shop. They don't know how to make those kind of donuts. You do. You could have been supplying them, done, doing what you love, not having to worry about selling to that end user. And the opportunity just went right by. And you just created all this extra work for yourself, which, is a journey in and of itself. You learned a lot, but it could have been so much easier.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah.
Jenni, how did you catch yourself though to turn this around? When we self-sabotage, you really do have to recognize this in yourself. How did you figure out, wow, I just let a really great opportunity? What did you do to fix this self-sabotaging? Or did you just say, well, I mean, you obviously didn't say, well, I want this to be hard. And that's something that's deep rooted.
Right.
So what did you do going forward to stop self-sabotaging, or did you have to sabotage a little more? To really get
how much suffering did you have to endure?
Like, I'm serious. I mean, just out of curiosity.
That's a good question. I think, to get out of self-sabotage, obviously we have to recognize it. But if you're your own worst enemy like I was, you don't recognize it. You don't understand what you just did and how that can impact your success. Because you don't feel like you deserve success and that it should be hard. So you're comfortable being in that position. You're comfortable struggling because that's what you're used to. That's what you've done your whole life. So you don't necessarily recognize it and you continue moving into more self-sabotage as time goes on if you don't recognize it right away. Obviously I ended up being friends with this woman. We ended up doing a couple of events together. So I got to use her expertise or her connections in a different way. But again, throughout my business, I did sabotage.
Do you think part of it is too, not to hurt your feelings, but is it not wanting to also give up any kind of control over anything? You want to keep, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's hard to.
Yeah, I think the second way that I did that was just not accepting help. I saw getting help as a weakness because I should be able to do it myself. There's no way I need anybody's help. I don't need her help. I can do this myself. Or I'm not weak and I can prove to myself that I can do it. And so throughout my business, I did everything myself. Everything you could ever imagine. I made the donuts. I came up with a recipe. I found the kitchen that I needed to work in. I contacted customers by myself. I figured out how to do sales because I didn't know. I did marketing. I did social media. I did it all. I did my books. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like, how amazing am I, because I did everything myself. But that's not amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I got so burned out that I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. My relationships were not optimal. And it was just, my business was booming and it was doing really, really well, but it could have done so much better if I would have.
What was holding you back from delegating things out? Was there something in particular? Like what would be, if I'm out here and I'm doing everything myself, what do I need to be aware of so that way I'm not doing everything myself? Is it that you just have a problem delegating? Is it that you're afraid this person won't take it as seriously as you? Is it giving up the money that you have to pay someone? Like, what is it? What are some of the things that someone should be looking at within themselves if they're doing it all and it's starting to really impact their relationships and their overall mental, physical, spiritual well-being?
Yeah, I think that you need to recognize that you cannot do it all from the very beginning, and you need to delegate out what you aren't good at. I'm not good at books. I'm horrible at math. I ended up doing it, and I did it fine. I was able to invoice on time. I was able to, do all of that, but it was a struggle where I could have just hired that out. Or at the very end, I was so burned out, I had to see a coach. I mean, I couldn't function, and I didn't know how to get through to the next step. I didn't even know what I was going to do because I was so burned out. So she helped me. She basically said, you know what? Something's got to give. It's either your relationships or it's your business, and something to give. And she didn't tell me either way. But I knew that with her saying that, like, something had to give. I couldn't keep up what I'd been doing for 4 years, just consistently killing myself, basically.
Did you get a partner ever?
I didn't get a partner. I ended up selling my business just out of, like, the universe was there because something had to give. I was ready to quit. And I had a conversation with one of my wholesale customers. And through a series of conversations, he loved my donuts. He had a vegan restaurant, and he bought my business. So,
and you said yes to that opportunity when it came around this time.
Yes.
Oh, I see you, universe. I'm not letting this one go.
Yeah, I definitely did. Yeah, I didn't know if it was the right opportunity, but I really thought about it, and I'm like, I cannot keep going at this pace. I'm either going to have to get a massive loan, or I'm going to have to hire several employees full time.
Right. Did you ever hire anyone else to work with you? Did you ever bring anyone else on, or did you do it all yourself the whole time? And then you just hit that burnout and you just couldn't anymore with it?
I did it myself for about the first 3 years. And then at the fourth year, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I ended up hiring a part-time employee, but just for a summer because she was a high school student. And she helped me with some events. And by hiring her, I saw the benefit of having someone help you. I mean, our productivity was 10 times what I could do by myself. Like, dang. Baking the donuts, she could be cleaning up in between, baking and making everything. It was just so much easier. She could be mopping at the end while I could be packaging up donuts. And it was just, it was an epiphany, like, oh man, I could have been doing this all along. But I think I just didn't want to let go of control. I didn't want people to have my recipe. I didn't want to, let go of the money that I had.
You know what's sticking with me that you're saying with all of this, though, and I don't want it to go over at all. I think the fact that you reached out for a coach and you reached out for help was the smartest thing you could have done, because so much of the time, just having a different perspective and having somebody, your coach didn't tell you what to choose. She just the idea of what she saw, a different perspective that you were unable to see, and how valuable like that person was to you. And it's no surprise that you're now a coach, because you obviously saw the value of that.
For sure. Yeah. And I think so many people are hesitant to hire a coach at the very beginning because they think they can do it all themselves.
Mhm.
If you hire someone or you have that support somewhere in your life, it's so important, because that person has probably been there, and they can walk you through those steps, and they can make you sidestep all of the mistakes they made, and you can get there so much faster than if you are trying to suffer through it all on your own, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes beautiful sense, especially as someone out there who like wants to start any kind of food, any kind of business. You would be like the ideal person. Like, okay, hold on a second. Before you try to start that cookie company, that cupcake company, that whatever little pop-up juice bar, like call Jenni, because she's going to give you some pointers. She's going to help you be successful, and she's going to give you tell you the things that you did wrong, or, so you don't do them wrong. So yeah, having someone in your corner that can walk you, especially when, like you said, you didn't know anything in the beginning. When you don't know anything, everything's Googleable, right? You can figure it out. But if you have someone who's like, and here's the next step, and then here's the next step, it's like cliff notes to get to that end versus trying to just figure it all out on your own.
And I was just thinking while you were talking that, where you were saying that, like, you can Google how to not sabotage yourself. But if it's ingrained in you, it's really hard to change. You can Google anything, but your own behavior is something that I think you need support with. Because if it's something that you've always struggled with, it's not just going to go away in a search in Google.
Right.
So my next question, Jenni, then is, when this is just something that's ingrained in you, like yours was your example of your father or whatever, in your opinion, how long or what, like, let's just say I've struggled with my weight, that same 20 pounds for 30 years. And so obviously something is ingrained in there. And so that's what I wonder, like, what does it take? Like, let's just say I got a coach just for that. How would you work with someone like me that has this ingrained that, oh, this is just your body type, that you, same of those things you said, your belief system. I've always believed my whole life I'm never going to be skinny. I'm just a bigger girl. And so I just wonder, is it ever too late?
No. No, and that's such a good question. I think we're so hard on ourselves and beat ourselves up for the things that aren't perfect. But I think that if you can recognize the behavior underneath that and understand what is causing that behavior, then that's the most important thing. Because you're not just going to lose weight by, accepting the fact that you're a certain body type. I mean, everybody's a certain body type. I'm 5'3", so I'm never going to get taller, right? But you can change the behavior underneath that and go, how can I, maybe stop overeating, or what is keeping me from exercising, or why do I feel bad when I'm at a birthday party and I'm not eating cake or something like that. It's all related to behavior. And that's why a coach is so important, is because they get to the root of that behavior and then help you understand your behavior, and then make small changes along the way that can have a massive impact.
I love that, Jenni.
Cool. Yep.
Thank you so much for your advice today and tips on how to stop self-sabotaging. Where can people find you if they find themselves in this pattern, or they're beginning on a journey, that entrepreneur who's going to start that business and they're looking for some guidance? Where can people find you so that they can find success in their life?
Oh, thank you. You can find me at Jenni, or you can find me at on Instagram at Find Your Purpose Project.
Perfect. And that's the best way for people to reach you?
Yeah, that's the best way. And then you can set up a one-to-one call with me, which is free, and we can chat about where you are right now, what kind of goals you're looking for, why you want to find your purpose, and then how I can help you reach those goals.
It's beautiful.
You're amazing.
Thank you so much. for being on our show again today. I love you. I love your energy. I love what you're doing. Your work is so important in this world. And if more of us can find our purpose, believe in ourselves that we can do it, get the help that we need, massive success can come our way. So thank you so much for sharing that with us this morning. I really appreciate you and the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on again. I absolutely love what you guys do, and I love being here. So thank you.
Thanks, Jenni.
Sending you hugs.
Bye, best friend. I love you.
Bye. Everybody,
Bye,
have a good
everyone.
day and
Thank you so much again.
Bye.